Sirens have sounded in Israel after the military said that it had shot down a missile launched from Yemen. The Iran-backed Houthi rebels there resumed their attacks on Israel following the collapse of a ceasefire with Hamas 2 days ago. Israel has carried out deadly airstrikes and sent troops into northern Gaza, while Hamas has responded with rocket fire. Palestinians face increasingly dire conditions as they struggle to find shelter and cope with the massive number of dead and injured.
Grieving families kneel by the bodies of their loved ones. In the last few days alone, hundreds of Palestinians have been killed after Israel resumed airstrikes on Gaza, ending a 2-month ceasefire. According to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, many of the dead and injured are women and children.
We are defenseless Palestinians. We call on the international institutions, the conscience of the world, and the news channels to send out our messages. We want a ceasefire. We want a ceasefire.
The Israeli military says it only targets militants and blames civilian deaths on Hamas, accusing its fighters of being deeply embedded in residential areas. For Palestinian families, that means virtually nowhere in Gaza is safe, as Israel again issues evacuation orders in the north and the south and warns of an all-out ground and air offensive. After several weeks of relative peace, Gazans are again fleeing for their lives. I swear to God, we don't know. We don't know where we will go. All the areas are unsafe. There's not a single safe area. But since we were told to leave, we followed the orders, so we're leaving. Where will we go? As Israel ramps up its assault in Gaza, many fear that for Palestinian refugees, the worst is yet to come.
Well, I'm joined now by Hisham Mahana. He's a spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, and he joins us now from Gaza City. What is the situation like now for people living in Gaza?
It's catastrophic and it's rapidly deteriorating. And the security situation is unfolding massively. We have been witnessing the last 48 hours nothing but the sounds of explosions and witnessing large influx of patients being carried into the hospitals that have been impacted massively and destroyed after 16 months of active hostilities that have been unprecedented. First responders and ambulance services are not fully functional. Even the International Committee of the Red Cross Field Hospital in southern Gaza Strip have been handling a life-saving mission for 48 hours, handling with and providing the proper healthcare for life-saving healthcare for the patients that are pouring in. This all comes after over almost 3 weeks of complete closure, preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, and trucks that have been bringing the hope for Palestinians to cope and to slowly rebuild the life that was ripped off by the fierce fighting.
I want to ask you, now that the ceasefire has been broken, how is that impacting the work of your organization?
We are witnessing the same situation that prevailed for many months before the announcement of the ceasefire. The lack of enough space that is safe for humanitarian actors to reach those in desperate need for. And we cannot maintain many of our humanitarian activities that include the provision of food items and bread loaves and IDP shelters, but also the restoration of the damaged water and wastewater pipelines that provide basic water for the communities who return. Without the sufficient amount of humanitarian aid coming into Gaza and without the needed safe space to operate, we will not be able to perform our activities that the entire population in Gaza are fully dependent on. We cannot rely also on the humanitarian solution because it's not a magic stick. It cannot reverse the impact of 16 months of fighting that resulted in the destruction, massive destruction across Gaza, and for over 2 million people that lack essential services. We also are highly concerned about the unfolding violence that also can harm the hostages that we have been working tirelessly to reach and to
Yet,
bring home and reunite with their families over 8 weeks of a ceasefire time.
let me pick up on that. I know that Israel has issued what it is calling a last warning for Palestinians to return the hostages and to remove Hamas from power. Considering that, are you preparing now for more violence?
Unfortunately, all the indicators over the last 48 hours point at one direction, is that we are back to the fighting. We are back to a situation that we have been trying desperately amongst the entire humanitarian sector to cope with and to prevent its further impact over the lives of civilians, including children, including women, including people with disabilities. 2 months of a ceasefire enabled us to reunite families from both sides together and help doctors and hospitals regain the ability and capacity to provide life-saving abilities and help fix water pipelines. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
However, it has been never enough to reverse the consequences of many months of unprecedented fighting. There is a need to realize a political solution that is proven the only successful approach to preserve the human life, to bring back the hostages, and to help Palestinians in Gaza have a glimpse of hope for a future to witness that is basically they are lacking now for their own children.
Hisham, Israel says that it has issued warnings to civilians to leave combat zones before it launches more strikes. I mean, from what you have observed, are these warnings, are they effective in protecting civilians in Gaza?
Well, evacuation orders must be given or issued to preserve or to protect civilians, but there are conditions for that. First of all, there's nowhere else safe for civilians to go. Gaza is very much brought to rubble. Of the vast majority of the Gaza Strip neighborhoods, residential buildings, infrastructure is damaged, and there is a lack of safe access to the essential needs. There has been, as I mentioned, closure of all the crossings with Gaza Strip. Even the power line that was providing and feeding the Seoul water desalination plant has been cut off. So in order to issue an evacuation order and move a population to a safer area, first of all, it has to be safe. People must have to be able to safely reach it and being given the enough space and time to prepare for that. And they must also have access to all the essential needs they have to survive. Is that available in Gaza? That's a big question to answer.
Hisham Mahana with the International Red Cross Red Crescent in Gaza. Hisham, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.